So, this is vlog number one of looking at the novel. What was Lee trying to say about racism in the novel? So, I feel like throughout the entire novel, obviously, racism is a major theme, if not the theme of the book. Now, Lee wrote this during a period of time when racism was extremely prevalent. Um, I feel like it was back during the time when uh, racism was kind of at its peak. Not saying that racism doesn't exist today, but I feel like that it's not to the extent that it was back then. Now, I do feel that the theme and that the lessons to take away from her writings are still very relevant to us today, and that we can take these themes away and apply them to our society today, and also use them as a way to not make the same mistake, per se, to not fall into that form of racism again, to not fall back into the um, just to the disgusting nature of how people were treated. So, an example from the book about racism is when Atticus comes to the defense of Tom Robinson. Tom Robinson. So Tom Robinson was accused of raping the young woman Mayella Ewell, um, and Atticus is appointed as his defense attorney. So right off the bat, Tom Robinson, being black, is looked down on the community, and his probability of um, being proven not guilty is slim to none, considering the time that we're in. Whether he was guilty or not, the people still want to see a black man go to jail. They still want to see him suffer just because of the way he looks. And obviously, there's already these preconceived notions that he did do it, that, he's a black man, he was, around where it happened, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he did it because of the way he looks. Now, using this theme and this lesson, we can relate that to today, that our preconceived notions on people because of the way they look shape the way we think about them and the way we act to them, strictly by the way that they look. So, comparing it to the time back then when racism was prevalent to now, the challenges and the lessons to be learned are still the same. So I feel like that Lee is trying to show here is that no matter what someone looks like, no matter what your preconceived notions are about them, get to know them and truly understand, in this case, understand whether or not he did or didn't rape the woman, and get to know him and ask him the questions, and don't just be so quick to anger and to just blaming someone, but actually know the facts and know what happened first. So what Atticus does is a major kind of act of bravery here. He supports Tom Robinson and comes to his defense, even though that all of town looks down upon Tom Robinson. And for Atticus to come to his defense is a major kind of slap in the face to the people of like, yeah, you guys don't like Tom Robinson because he's black, or you don't like black people. Well, okay, well, I'm gonna support him and defend him in this case, and I don't care what you think. And I feel like that's a major lesson to be learned, is that today I feel like a lot of people get caught up in the social media and the just following what society does and tells you to do. Atticus defies this. All of society around him tells him to look down on black people and not to help them when they need you, and just to know that you're worth more than they are. Well, he goes against this and defends him, and I feel like that the lesson to be learned for us today is to help those when they need us, to, no matter what they look like, no matter where they're from, just to be a good person, just to be a good person overall. And that's exactly what Atticus does. So what Lee is trying to say here is that racism was so quick back then, and it still is now, to blame someone just because of what they look like and where they're from. So for me, what I take away from this is that just because someone looks different, just because someone's from a different place, doesn't mean to accuse them, doesn't mean to have these preconceived notions about them, but rather to get to know them and defend them when you know it's the right thing to do, and to do the right thing at all costs.